All right, I'd like to call the regular Airport Advisory Committee meeting of February 19th, 2026 to order at 6 p.m. Will the secretary please take roll?
Aaron McCarty is absent. Kevin McCabe.
I am here.
Austin Bullowa.
Present.
Chip Anderson is absent. Michael Lucas.
Present.
We have
All right, committee member Lucas, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does the committee have any adjustments to tonight's meetings? Hearing no change to the agenda will stand as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
For which, what are you on?
Approving the agenda.
If there's no, I don't think you have to,
Oh.
you could just say, are there any objections?
All right, are there any objections? All right, with no objections, the consent of the agenda is approved and as presented. Does the committee have any adjustments to the November 2025 meeting minutes as presented? All right, if there is no objections, the meeting minutes are approved as presented. Anybody wishing to come forward and talk public comment?
Actually, it's staff reports now.
Or-
Yeah.
Do we have a report? Yeah, from Mr. Shaw.
Thank you. Thanks for filling in for Mr. Riccardi today, Mr. Balawa. So I have a few things to share that aren't in the new business. So Eric Shaw, Public Works Director. So first of all, I wanted to let you guys know that Chip Anderson was selected by the mayor and approved by the council to replace Mr. Morris. And so he wasn't able to be at the meeting tonight. He's out of country, but he's very excited to be involved with the business of the airport. You may know that he built the hangar, the last remaining hangar spot down by the A tie downs area. So that's his new hangar over there. And then he has a rich history in construction and contracting and has some pretty successful contracting businesses. So look forward to him joining the team. Also want to let you know that we've rolled out the new access control stickers. So if you haven't gotten your fancy Wasilla Airport sticker, come by the finance department and get that. It's the same RFID technology that the car washes use. They're way less expensive. We had those battery powered RFID pucks that were $40 each. These are less than $9 each. They say our name on them. They're pretty cool. We have like 1,000 of them. So come get as many as you need. We have kind of different costs. Tie down users get one free, and then it's $20 for each sticker after that. But you can outfit every car that you want to. We also are using this as an opportunity for our sub-lessees to come in and make sure that we have copies of those, because that is a requirement for all leases on the airfield, is that we need your subleases too. So that's been kind of a carrot to get those users in there. Seems to be working well. I have not heard really any complaints about us switching. It is one of the first steps towards us having the gates closed during the day so we can keep moose out and keep people that really aren't supposed to be on the airfield out. But we want to ease into that by making it, smooth for the users to get those stickers. With that, Gate E, next to Silver Skies / Blackhawk, that gate is operational now, so it will operate those stickers, so you can go in and out of that as you choose. We have an inspection for it later either end of this week or next week, where we're going to sign off on its operation with the contractor, but it works, so you can use those to get in and out. We've also done some updates to our cameras, so we have a really nice PTZ camera with crazy good zoom, so our ability to monitor activities out there is greatly increased. So we're pretty excited about that coming online. That was part of the final Apron E project. Want to let you know that we are beginning our budget preparation as we go into the budget process with the council. That has led to 2 special financial meetings with our consultant, Ted Leonard, who used to be the finance director here and brings a wealth of knowledge. He's been giving the council a bunch of insight and training into, the airports. The airport, water, and sewer are enterprise funds. They all need rate increases, which we've talked about at length here in this group. He's been bringing them kind of up to speed on what level of increase he thinks we need, and then facilitating the mindset that rate increases need to be discussed kind of annually versus letting them go for 10 years or forever, that sort of thing. So they've been very well received. I recommend, if you're interested, that you log into the city's meeting portal, which is where you find this agenda tonight, and you can watch the YouTube recordings on all of that. You can also just go to our YouTube channel and find those too, but you may come away with a very in-depth understanding of what the council is going to be asked to be doing this year. I've been working on the capital improvement project budget document. It's going to be a pretty lean year for that. We got a huge infusion of cash throughout the city and especially the airport last year. Those projects are underway. We're going to be swamped either way. So you're going to see Taxi with Kilo and some other projects going in the spring. So we've got a lot to do. So I'm not super sad about having a bit of a funding pause as we kind of get our feet back under us because of they're doing some sales tax projection, and it's pretty flat right now. It hasn't really increased in the last couple of years. So he's trying to help guide the council on what that means. And the last thing I was going to give you an update in this staffing report is we also have a fence repair project because like 1,000 feet of the fence is frost jack fallen over, or it's out of the ground so far that moose make it underneath. That contractor had a really hard time keeping focused and getting their paperwork, and we're coming down to the wire for them to either get with the program, or I'm going to cancel the contract tomorrow. So if we don't see what they needed to provide by tomorrow's deadline, I'm going to cancel it and we'll have to go back out to bid. We've been talking with FAA about that. That's the only way to keep it moving, is to go back out to bid, which is really frustrating, but it is what it is. So you may, worst case scenario, you may see it go back out to bid. We may have to talk about it again, but we need to get that fence repaired. Any questions for me on my staff report?
No.
Thank you.
All right, public comment. Anyone wishing to step forward and discuss anything not on the agenda tonight? With no one present, next item of unfinished business. Having no unfinished business to conduct, we will move on to new business. Mr. Shaw?
Thank you. I'm going to move to the dais because I want to project some stuff. So we'll get this projecting properly, and then I'll get started. Great. Okay, so the first new business item is the airport master plan. I wanted to... It just went offline. Oh, there we go. Okay. I wanted to have this in the packet, so there's a hyperlink. And the reason this is included is if the public are watching now, or if they refer back to this, the master plan document is up for public comment. This is one of those FAA required things. We've done all the work. We've put together a document. It's huge, size-wise and value-wise. If we were to build out the master plan right now, it's at least a $240 million project. I'll click on this since we're staring at it. That link will take you to the draft plan. You can see we want review. Right now, the comment period closes February 25th, which is that a Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Is that? I think it is. Why is that not showing me? Oh, there we go. Yeah, next Wednesday. So less than a week from tomorrow. We heard from FAA today. They need a little bit longer, so I suspect we're going to see this be updated by our consultant to whatever length. I don't know. Either way, if you're in the public and you're interested in giving us comments, please do that. You can click on the link. It's broken down by section because, like I said, it is ginormous. So section 0011, all that sort of stuff. You can see the pictures. If we go to section 6, implementation plan has a narrative, milestones, and then it leads to kind of an implementation plan, cost-wise, and then the pictures. This is the near-term plan. You can see Taxiway Kilo is in the plan, but we're already going under construction for that. There was some discussion about T-hangers. I've had interest from a few developers that wanted to know what it would take, so I have a little packet of kind of what we forecast you would need to do. It does involve some Army Corps permitting because there's some fill necessary off the edge of the current apron in front of Taxiway Juliet. So if anyone in the public wants to know more about that because they're curious or because they may want to partner with us in that development, give me a call at Public Works and I can send you that packet. Then we've got the midterm. Oh, no worries. We got the midterm that shows some GA hangar space here, and then maybe a development down on the south end, and then we move into the ultimate long term that shows commercial in the purple, the GA hangar space, a bunch of apron space, and then of course the 6,000 foot runway. And so if 6,000 by 100 is not enough, we want to hear those comments. I think the midterm still shows the 6,000 and the short term shows the 51 by 75. So I just wanted to bring the advisory commission's attention to that. Any questions for me on this? Okay, moving on to a 9.2 aviation operations tracking platform. I wanted to show the advisory commission a product that we are part of now. We've joined Merrill Field, Ted Stevens, and I think Palmer too. Are you guys using 1200.aero?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we've got this fun consortium of Alaska airports that have on-site radio that is taking ATSB information and ATC audio and compiling it so that we get records of use, access, kind of what our ratio of training and overflight and all that stuff. So there's a lot of amazing data. So I was just going to give you, maybe I'll just show you some interesting things. So this is the internal page. There's an external page. But if I go to Alaska, you can see we're one of 4. So Palmer's on board, Merrill Field, Ted Stevens. Ted Stevens is very active, so they're really fun to see because you can see them moving around. And so the architecture is the bright pink boxes are their runways. And you can see there's this blue plane right here. That stands for commercial. So if I bring this down, you can see it's a commercial entity. He's taxiing. He's got a ground speed of 21 knots. There's a kind of an unidentified plane sitting here. You can see that this commercial plane is taxiing as well. Any black planes mean that they just got there. So you can see these heavies are sitting on the hard stands. This guy probably is not sitting here. He probably just turned off his, that's the last recorded space for him. And then the purple is, the kind of light shade purple is the airfield perimeter. And this orange one is general aviation. White ones are just parked, if you will. And we may be able to see someone take off here soon. Or you might see them land. It's kind of fun. They'll land and you'll see their ground speed drop, or they'll be taken off and you'll see their ground speed increase. And so they 2100.aero sets these parameters so that they can help you understand the usage of which runway they're using. So if I bring this back to us, actually we can go to Merrill Field too and just look. So this is what Merrill Field's setup looks like. Doesn't look like anyone's really taxiing right now. And then if I come back to us, there's a couple modifications they need to make. They don't have our stole in the right location. Should reload. There we go. So they kind of just guessed, looking from aerial photographs, that this was the stole, but I was explaining to them yesterday that the stole's actually here. We may be out of luck with separating stole usage from regular 04 and 22 usage because they're so close together. There is a layer, or there's a limit to the accuracy. So they're scratching their heads to see what they can do, but they misinterpreted where the stole was and they had it offset here. You can see that we've got some home-based aircraft. So these are kind of their last known coordinates, maybe when they turned off their transponder or something like that. And if someone was taxiing, we'd see them kind of move around, just like we saw Ted Stevens. What it brings is the benefit of this kind of reporting. So this is runway operations by month. So this is February. And so you can see Monday, the holiday, was incredibly busy. And that is exactly what our operations crew saw. They were out there doing some work, even though it was a holiday, and they were just like, holy moly, look how many people are out here. So if you include, so they break it down by landings, takeoffs, go-arounds, overflights, parked aircraft. The only thing that's a little bit kind of skews the numbers is overflights is any transit within 5 nautical miles of the airport. So, there's a lot of flights around that maybe aren't involved with us. That counts as an overflight. So there was 131 tracked aircraft. And then you can see that yesterday with the snow, really limited access. This gap right here, the transponder went offline because it got unplugged somehow. So I have to make sure that doesn't happen again. But what it shows, operations per day for different uses. This is just showing the health of that's weather. This is taking average temperature, average wind speed, and any METAR ratings, and showing, you can kind of see it correlates where, I think it was offline here, but if we look at kind of a weather day, there's a way less operations on a bad weather day. This is when it got unplugged, but this is the health of the receiver. And then this is our current ratio of landings to takeoffs. So runway 04 gets most of the landings, with about a quarter of them being on runway 22. And then takeoffs are a little less lopsided, but still runway 4 is the majority of the operations. Then this is why we're doing this operations by category. We need to build our case with FAA to show that we have enough critical aircraft to meet the planning threshold to get to the at least 5,100 foot runway. And so if I go to runway operations by year, we have enough users that we're starting to get in the B2, B3 category, which is great. And so we've got B1, A2, helos, others, and then of course our general aviation A1s. They can track if it's an air taxi flight or if it's general aviation, or I'm waiting for our first medevac to come over. We get a few once a quarter. It seems like they come through, and so I'm like waiting for that to happen because I can't wait for that data to be there. We've got aircraft type by count, so Cessna 172s and the regular mix that you see, and then they know engine type. So we've had some turboprop, we've had some turbo shaft, mostly piston engines, and then they know where people are coming from. So we've had some Merrill Field, some Anchorage. Does anyone know who PAAQ is?
Palmer.
Is that Palmer?
It's Palmer.
Okay. All I know is us. So few folks have flown over. Destinations. And then this is a great ratio too, looking at training versus non-training. And the way they have identified that is if you don't really spend any time, off of the runway, if you're doing touch and goes, I think if you even taxi and you don't really spend any time, you just taxi through and get back on, they count that as training. They look at how short your stay was and say, oh, you weren't stopping, you were just coming through. So that's pretty interesting to know. IFR versus VFR, after hours operations. And so we chose hours to be whenever the gate was open. So after hours is after 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then they break that down. So for instance, let's look at Monday, because that was the holiday, it was super busy. Most of the folks were out, in the morning, it looks like. But we had some flights come in pretty late that night too. So, but no one's coming in the middle of the night right now. And then the operations per day of the week, that'll start to even out, I think, as we get more data under our belt. We've only had it since the middle of January, so we're still just getting into the collection of data. It gives landing this takeoff by month, and then there's a bunch of other data that we can look at, parked aircraft, for instance. So these are all kind of either we know they're based here or they've been here enough that we're kind of counting them as resident fleet, if you will. And then if we just kind of go through what else we can see, we're in the report section. We already looked at the maps. We can listen to ATC recordings. We can pick a timeline. Let's pick the busy day on Monday. Oops, I'm going to turn that off. We'll go to 10 a.m. because I think that was a pretty busy time. And then if I zoom in, oh yeah, so you could see this guy is leaving, heading out. I don't know. I'll just jump ahead a little bit. We'll just see if we can find another plane. There we go. So we've got a few that show up on screen doing their thing. And you can listen to the radio traffic, kind of who's talking to who and who's coming in. So pretty neat. And then we move to the based aircraft. So we can build this inventory. So if I sort by overnights, I can kind of see the activity. This plane has been kind of the most active lately, but it has a lot of data on just coming and going. This backfilled itself, so we didn't have any of this set up last April, but they were probably somewhere near, Merrifield or someplace that's had the receiver for longer, and so they show up as being very active in our region. Haven't received a lot of training on noise, but one thing that it can do is if we start to get a lot of complaints about a really noisy plane, or we get a timeline on when something's happening, we can go back in time with that neighbor complaint basically and see if we can identify what was causing their complaint. So that's something we might need to use in the future if we start to have some neighborhood complaints. Safety events, don't have any recorded. Haven't received a lot of training from 1200 Aero yet on exactly what we would do there. And then this is the public map. And so we can make this forward facing so that the interested public can see, kind of just how busy it is, who's flying around and where they're going. And we don't have a lot of movement right now, so I haven't seen an active airplane on this, but I think it's pretty interesting to be able to offer that to the public. And then the last thing I was going to show you was, let's see. I'll just go back to this. So we're going to be, one of the other features I'm going to show you on Ted Stevens. These yellow boxes are different, what are they called? Ramps. So you can track usage of ramps. And so I've asked 1200 Aero to make 2 ramps for us. And we're just going to see what it collects, see what happens. But we made a ramp around the fuel pumps. And then we made a ramp on Saloy because he's got all the helicopter operations. I just want to see kind of how the data collection for that goes. So, and then some of the other things that it can provide, we can see en route to and from. We can listen to the ATC audio if we wanted to. It shows perimeters. We can exclude overflights if we didn't want to see that. and then it gives us, we could do call sign if they have it recorded, and it gives us the information. One thing we could do, I don't think we have it outfitted right now, but we could outfit our ground vehicles with transponders too. And I've seen Ted Stevens' ground vehicles do their FOD checks on the runway. You see a vehicle hauling down the runway doing their thing. So that may be something we branch into if we find value in that. Any questions?
Does this pick up any data from non-transponder airplanes when it picks up call signs on the radios or anything like that?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think it does not. I think it's just an analog recording, and then it's using the transponders.
So this is a public website then?
So part of it is, I'm showing you the inside, so the public can't see that. What the public can see is these activities, where it is sharing, looks like it's just sharing types of planes, and then what they're doing, if they're overflying, or if they landed on runway 2, or they took off on runway 22.
So it said ATC audio.
Mhm.
Is that like the flight service station or?
What I've heard is just everyone talking to each other, saying them on in pattern, and
That'd be 122.8,
yeah.
the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So what is towing? There's a category for towing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know exactly how we would know that they're towing. I don't know enough about the protocol. Let's see if anyone's on. So yeah, 122.8. And there it goes, it goes green. Takes a minute to get on. So if someone were to squawk now, we would hear them. But I don't think it's doing any transcriptions. I think it's just passing it through. Any other questions for me? Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to showing the FAA this. I've told HDL, our consultants, about it, and the next step is I want to stress test the data collection so that we know that it's getting us what FAA will accept, because we have to go through the FAA planners, and they're like, ooh, I don't know if you have enough flights or not, and so we'll augment it with operators that we know, like, working with Blackhawk about, your itineraries and just making sure they jive. I'm looking forward to Alaska Seaplanes coming up this weekend.
Yeah, well, on Saturday, it should be around 3 o'clock.
Sweet. Yeah, so I'll be like, it's probably a B2. Do you know what's coming up, or?
Caravan.
Yeah.
Should be 208.
Perfect. So I'll probably forget, but I'll check. The way it works is a lot of it's live, but those reports that I showed you, those take a day. So they reset at midnight, and then what they told me was like about 4 a.m, it has like calculated the day before, and then that data hits this. So
Yeah, we should have had one for last week of a PC-12 coming in.
okay, awesome. So we'll just ground truth that, and make sure we feel comfortable that it's collecting all of that, because we need every single plane. So that's what drove this, and it's a very reasonable fee. It's based on the number of operations that you have, and so this was $2,800 for the year. And I was kind of like, well, there's FlightAware, there's all these other flight trackings. You can buy data from them, but this is I think this actually gives us better coverage for being facility centric. I really like what it offers, and they really have a great responsive team. I've been really impressed with 1200.aero. They're aviation minded tech geeks is what they were. They had the CEO had started some sort of tech company and also likes flying, and saw a niche and said, well, I bet we could do this. And I haven't done an exhaustive search of how many different airports in different states they have, but if we go to California, they have a lot of installations. So,
So 1200 Aero is a private company that makes this.
Yep. So they basically built a custom-made radio transceiver. They're just collecting data, and then they're feeding it back through their own program that's monitoring it. And then they sort it, filter it, and they just kind of decipher what the ATSB data is already sending out. And then they did say that Alaska's kind of strange. They digest itineraries, but Alaska, I didn't know this, but Alaska FAA doesn't share those. Everywhere else they do. And so they're kind of saying to the Alaska FAA, why are the 49 other states sharing it, but you're not? So I don't know what the answer is, but eventually they'll probably have a little bit more data. But if they were to file an itinerary like coming up from down south, we would see that. We would get kind of credit for having a plane come up from down south through their system. So, all right, thank you.
So the city of Wasilla then subscribes and pays a fee for this, and
Yes.
if you're an administrator, you would get all that data.
So what I want to be able to do is build reports that you guys are interested in that we can use to flow up to the council to give them confidence in what we're trying to do, right? Expand the runway, expand opportunities, build businesses out there. And so right now the FAA is the one that needs more proof that we are worthy of a longer runway, but eventually council's going to want to know, how much growth there is, or how much, how important our airport is to the users, whether it be all the flight schools or, there's a lot of talk about all the DoD, Department of War spending that's going to happen with the Golden Dome. And so there's a lot of discussion about what does that mean for ancillary support as, I don't even know what it could mean for us, but there's billions and billions of dollars that are expected to flow into Alaska for the Golden Dome and all of those other programs that are top of mind for the federal government.
Anyone in the audience, again, open up for public comment? Seeing no one?
No.
With nothing, any staff members have any comments?
I covered mostly everything. Right now, the mayor and deputy administrator are down in Juneau, and so they've been meeting with the legislature, sharing our phone call, sharing what we need, and so they're talking about all things city, water, sewer, airport. So I'm acting mayor right now, but when they get back, we'll get some more information about what to expect from support.
No comment.
Commissioner McCabe, do you have anything?
Sorry, it took me a while to get to the mute thing. No, I had dinner with the mayor and the deputy mayor last night. Good conversation. Talked a lot about the airport. I'm excited with all the business that they're planning and all the business people that they're working with. It's fabulous. Also talked to members of the statewide aviation advisory board today. One of whom is an Alaska Airlines pilot. He said, I can get a 737-900 MAX into 5,700 feet, no problem. So 6,000 is good should that ever come to fruition. He's also the member of the advisory board that goes around and looks at the various airports. And so I'm going to send him this plan. He was interested in the Wasilla plan. He actually happens to live just outside of Wasilla. And he's very interested, has a 180, and so I'm going to send it to him and maybe open a conversation with the Aviation Advisory Board for the state, and see if that goes anywhere. So, anyways, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Hearing no other business to come before the committee, so this meeting can be adjourned.
Thanks for coming, John.
Yeah, no worries.